So 3 years ago, I herniated a disc in my back. And over the next few years, I was in chronic pain, couldn't walk properly, popping painkillers. And in that time, I must have seen like at least a dozen specialists, everything from physios, chiropractors, different pain management specialists. I even saw this weird herbal homeopathic doctor, and he would put these weird pin, like it was like a plaster.
Like acupuncture things.
Yeah, but like as a plaster. So it would be just like a normal plaster, but with a needle on it. And he would put that behind my ear, and it was super painful. And he was like, "This is gonna be a trigger point release for you," and none of it worked. I was at one physio, and this was like deep into it, nothing was working. And he's like, "We're gonna have to go deep here." And I was like, "Okay." And he would get this metal rod, like solid stainless steel rod, and he would grind it against my back, and I would be yelling out loud, like, "Ah!" And I would come out with like massive red scrapes down my back, thinking, I'm hoping this is going to work. And this is the process, and this is all private, so I'm burning through cash, struggling to work all this time. And
because you can walk at this point, right? Like you were struggling to go
I can limp.
Yeah.
I'm limping everywhere, and it's so bad that if I'm planning to go somewhere, like even to the shop, I have to plan out the route in my head and think, all right, it's a 15-minute walk, and I'll think, where along the way can I sit down and basically rest? And I would have all my routes mapped out with bus stops and pavements where I would sit down along the way. And I would plan if something was beyond that range, I'd be like, no, I really can't make it. And it would be something I'd think about all day, every day.
What were your daily thoughts? That's what I was going to ask
It got to the point where I was like, because the pain was in my leg, in my left leg, because there's a nerve trapped in my lower spine. And so my left leg felt like it was on fire all the time. And I got to the point where I was like, I'd happily lose the leg. Like, if it came to that, I'd find some weird, like, experimental doctor abroad in Austria or something, and I'd get him to cut the leg and I'll go amputee. I was ready to do that. I mean, I don't know what it was going to be like when you're actually there on the operating table and you're like having second thoughts. Like, I don't know, I kind of like this leg, but it was at that point. And just going through that experience, it helped me just recalibrate on what I'm willing to go through and how much I'm willing to basically put on the line to get to that end goal. Because I was like, this is such a hindrance to my goals. I need to get rid of this thing no matter what, even if that means losing the leg.
If you could go back and repeat things, I never asked how you broke your back, firstly.
Overworked. So I'd be doing crazy heavy lifting at the gym and playing tennis and squash like 3 times a week. So I was just like grinding this body nonstop all day, every day, and working my office job for like 12 hours a day on top of that. So it was just like this body was getting no break. And occasionally you'd get a little bit of feedback that something's a little tight here, that doesn't feel right. But I was in this kind of young, invincible mind where you're like, nah, man, I'll just brush it off. And eventually it was just like, wait a minute, I've had this nagging pain for a while, it's not going away. And it just got worse.
That's interesting because I've learned lessons that are similar in thinking that you're young and invincible and trying to stretch yourself too thin, trying to burn the wick at both ends, burn the candle at both ends. It can lead to burnout, and it's not just mental, it can be physical as well, as you've experienced. If you could go back and change what would happen to you, would you change it, and why?
You mean choose not to go through it? 100% not. I'm thankful for it. It's the best thing to ever happen to me, man.
Tell me more.
So there were moments where it was so tough, where I was like, this is really, really tough. Like basic existence, when it's the back, right? Every kind of movement hurts because there's no action you can do that doesn't involve the back. So the only position or thing I could do that didn't involve pain was laying down in bed. And I was like, if this is my range of motion, like this is so tough mentally. And eventually I was so frustrated at not making progress and going to all these experts and no one being able to solve it. I was like, what if I just completely took this on in my own hands and decided, all right, I'm going to fix this myself. And then I started experimenting. I was researching the back and studying everything. But basically, the switch flipped in my head, thinking where I went from thinking, oh, this is terrible, this sucks, this is so hard, to hold on a second. What if I just try and take this all on board and figure it out myself? And then I turned it into an experiment. And that mindset now holds through in pretty much everything else I do, which is that I'll just keep trying until something works, because so far, up until now, there hasn't been something where if I keep going at it, it won't work. And this was such a big thing that if I can get through it, then surely anything else is going to be much more possible.
I think that's really important, isn't it? Stacking wins. So you reach a point where you've achieved so much and where you've come to. You look back on those wins and you're like, damn, if I've done that, if you look back to those wins, it gives you a new lease of life. You're like, I can do this. I can do whatever life throws at me because I've already been in hell. And granted, there may be harder times ahead for both of us, but we've both been through some things, and the hardest times in my life I'm grateful for. I'm so grateful for them. In the time, it's the worst thing ever, right? You just want it to stop. Like, how am I ever going to get back to it? My life's never going to be the same. And then you come through it, you just got to keep on grinding through it. And now I feel ahead of people my age. I feel 5 or 10 years ahead because I know that they've probably got something coming it's going to be more difficult for them than what I've been through. And because I've built up that mental resilience and I've won that battle that I went through, that's given me so much confidence in the things that I do now. And it's also taught me lessons, things that I need to control to avoid those from happening again.
Because over the past, especially 6 months or so, your perspective on a lot of this has really shifted around things like long-term planning, where you're headed, just getting that sense of direction. One of the things that I saw that always kind of clicks with me is, I remember you said you were like, you want to work, you want to get stuff done. You had this new fire after you realized, you want to set up your own thing. And it was like everything else kind of felt inane. And the feeling or phrase used to describe it is mission driven. And I think that's the underlying reason why so many guys today feel lost or directionless and they don't know what they're doing, is because they lack that. Because my thinking is that the mission or purpose is all encompassing. When you have that, it's like it's completely fulfilling. You don't actually, sure, you might need some other things, but it's so nurturing and it fills you so completely that you're like, this is all I want to do. I want to give myself fully to this thing. And it's such a rare endeavor to have that for.
It's about the how, not the why. No, it's about the why, not the how.
Cut.
The how's easy. The why is, you've got to think about why you're doing something. And that's something that I've now nailed. Motivation dips. It comes in waves. You can watch a movie and feel motivated. After you watch Rocky and what he accomplishes in Rocky, you're like, damn, I'm going to go and do that. And that lasts for maybe a week. But then if you've not got a clear reason why you're doing it, that's going to fade. And anyone that I'm speaking to, that I'm trying to give advice to and trying to better themselves, the first step is to identify what's important to them. Because the most important thing to you often aligns, you're going to make it better or you're going to be able to benefit it more if you take care of yourself in every element. And once you start thinking about why you're taking care of yourself, then you're more likely to do it for a long period of time. Whereas if you just get a wave of motivation, that's going to dip.
Let's say I'm someone who is unsure about what I'm doing and I want to build that discipline and good habits and routines. What would be the first steps you'd recommend?
Start with small wins. As soon as you get that first win, it doesn't have to be something massive. Make the bed. There's so many people who discuss how good it is to just get that first task of the day done. Everything's ordered, your mind's decluttered, a little bit less than it was before. When you made your bed, you're more likely to do a bit of work, or you're more likely to, wake up earlier the next day. There's the small wins that you can stack and start using as momentum. Don't go for a run, go for a walk, but do it. You can do that. Just take anything that you can take as a win, start taking those wins and just building up from them. Nice.
That's because they do build momentum really quickly once you can get those first few under the belt. Your brain gets that dopamine hit from a quick accomplishment and then you're like, damn, I can do this. And then you get that confidence to take even bigger challenges and tasks on.
It's momentum. We've spoken about it so many times. Positively snowballing. So starting off with something small, getting some momentum, whether you eat well so you don't get a takeaway, instead you eat something super healthy. We had a great lunch today. We had peppers, olives, tuna.
It was spectacular.
Yeah, it was a really nice lunch. It was healthy, but we started recording the pod after, and if we'd had a big bowl of pasta with loads of cheese and cream cheese, would have felt so sluggish, and the productivity would have come out from the pod feeling like, we probably could have done a little bit better with that. And then it's just like, I'm less incentivized to do work. Maybe I don't want to go to the gym. Maybe I'll eat a cookie and then feel even worse. Then I'll sleep badly. And it goes both ways. You can positively snowball as well as negatively snowball, which I don't think is spoken about too much these days.
There's an idea that I like to think back to, which is all of life follows basic Newtonian principles. So what that means is, oh wait, we had a bit of lag there, but we're good. Basic Newtonian physics, meaning for every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Now, you can see it really clearly if it's, for example, a ball hitting another ball and then you have like movement there, right? You can visualize it really easily. But for some reason, people have a really hard time translating that into their day-to-day lives. So, for example, let's say you wake up this morning with the intention of going to the gym, but you're super groggy. You're like, man, I feel rough. It's taking me way too much effort. I'll pass. That's the outcome. But what was the action that led to that? You'll think, last night, I stayed up late on my phone. I ate junk food. I didn't prep my clothes. That was the action. What is the result? I did not go to the gym. Basic input and output. And that applies to every aspect. I think people get it confused where they'll be like, oh, things just happen to me in life. I don't know really how, or it's out of my control. But I'm a firm believer that everything that happens to you is your fault out of some input that you did or didn't do. And in that case, you didn't prep, you didn't go to bed on time, you didn't do all these things. And the output was you didn't make it to the gym. And that reframing, it might sound harsh, but it actually gives you power to say that if something isn't working out in your favor, think about what are the inputs I need to change to have the desired output. If I want this fit, healthy body, what inputs do I need to change? Well, it means I'll need to be conscious about the food I put into my mouth, the exercise that I do. And sure, that's a big one, but you can even break it down to baby steps, day to day.
That's the important thing, is that when you're saying all of this and when you hear people saying this on podcasts, on social media reels, it's like you've got to do exercise, you've got to eat well, you've got to go for ice baths, do everything. It doesn't happen all at once. You need to take small wins, making your bed, eating a healthy breakfast, making sure you're eating greens so you're digestive and your gut consequently means that you're thinking clearer and happier and better moods, and then everything else falls into place. That next step feels like less of a jump, and it doesn't happen overnight. How many times have I failed at things? Like, I was struggling with cocaine addiction, alcohol addiction, every drug under the sun I tried since the age of 13, and it fucked me up. And I tried to stop so many times, and I couldn't. Each time I'd be in a pit, and I'm like, I'm gonna change what I'm doing, and then I realised that it was motivation rather than discipline. And I wasn't thinking about ways that I can have this for a prolonged period of time. It was all on just raw passion. I'm a very all or nothing person. And it starts with baby steps, and then you slowly build yourself better. But knowing why you're going to be doing these things is what I found now, which has given me the biggest spell of sobriety and the happiest period of my life so far.
So let's say someone doesn't have a clear enough why. I've seen this quite often where, let's say you're in a job or situation you don't like, and you want to get out of it, but the path out doesn't seem so clear. You're like, I'm not really sure. I'm unhappy with the current circumstance, but the end destination isn't yet clear to me. In those moments, it's tough to have that really clear end goal of why.
It's not necessarily an end goal. You got to think about things that motivate you enough to continue to do them.
Okay.
So for yourself, you've spoken to me a lot about your why. You want to be free from other people, and you work 12-hour days. I've seen you day in, day out, working 12 hours, getting your gym, exercise, everything in. The motivators, you don't know exactly what it is you're going to do. You don't know exactly what you do to an extent, but whatever it is, if something fails, you do something else because you're wise. You know that you want to be financially free and you don't want to work for somebody else. Those are your whys. So it doesn't have to be like what you want to do or what you love doing. You just need to find some core things that you really want, not just kind of fancy. Like, a lot of people, they want to be liked, which is never enough because it's not internal. You're not analysing yourself and the issues within yourself and what's wrong with your life. You just care what other people think. Dig deeper, find out what's important to you. So money's another one, which I don't think a lot of people will work as hard as they do just for money. I think it's the thing that money gives. So whether it's for your family or whether it's for just freedom or whether it's being able to eat whatever you want and go out and do what you do. Obviously, that's kind of a dumb thing to say because money that's why people, you're not money motivated. You're motivated by the things that money presents you the opportunity to do. So you've got to think about those things, and one of those things is going to land pretty hard.
It's true. And one of the exercises I'll use in figuring out that why, because it can be tough to start to pin it down, right? Especially if you've lived a pretty comfortable, predictable life so far, where you've gone to university, you've got a now steady 9-to-5 job, and you haven't really pushed the boundaries of God or gone into uncomfortable circumstances to figure out what you really like or what your why might be. Now, what you can do is start to eliminate stuff, right? So let's say if I ask you to pick one thing that you really, really like, right? Your options from that are infinite, essentially. You can pick whatever you want. It's especially apparent when you're doing partners, right? If you think about what you're looking for in a partner. And I've had this conversation a lot of times with guys where I'll be like, oh, what are you typically looking for? And then they don't really know. Because it can be tough to say, I have to now pick one quality or trait in someone that I really like. And a lot of people struggle with that decision. So I'll be like, all right, let's make it easier for you. What are the things that you don't like, right? Because then we can start eliminating stuff. Well, maybe you don't want someone who's superficial, who's like materialistic, right? So now we can eliminate that, and that means we want someone who's a bit more grounded. And what is the opposite of that?
Yeah,
right?
that's a nice way of seeing
it. And then
it.
we can say, oh, I don't want someone who's, always doing rash, crazy things. And you're like, all right, you want someone a bit more settled, a little safer, not a risk taker. And now we start to ration down, because I think it's in our biology to think about things we don't like as a mechanism to protect ourselves. We know much more about the things we don't want that might pose a risk or injury to us than the things that we do want.
Well, you count the things that happen bad a lot more than the times
Sure.
that happen good, apart from gambling. That's the exception.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because people always remember the wins for some reason. So that's why they continue to gamble. The feeling of winning is so much, you kind of discard all the feelings of losing. But I think it's very different with life experiences in general. Like a lot of people use it as excuses as well, and that's not in, I'm sure everyone's been through a lot of tough times, but if you start thinking of things that went wrong rather than ways that you can beat them and stop you from going down that route next time, you're only shooting yourself in the foot. There's no advantage to thinking like that.
To thinking like what?
Just thinking of things that have gone wrong, and rather than thinking of ways, even just thinking of them.
Man, one of the quotes on my whiteboard is, you are not allowed to think anything negative. You're not allowed to say anything negative, watch anything, listen. Even if someone's talking about some negative things happening on the news around the world, I'll be like, don't want to hear it.
Yeah, definitely don't watch the news then.
It's like, I think these things all seep into your mind. And
I think you're so right.
They have an impact on your perspective. Like, imagine if you only consumed positive information all day, every day. You'd be like the happiest person ever. You'd think anything is possible, life is great. Now, people confuse being with perspicacious with being naive. You think that if you're always positive and happy and optimistic about things, that you're naive and you don't really know how the world works. But as we're finding, especially now that you've decided to, pack it in with a job and start this new adventure, you're like, life isn't this scared, tiny little bubble that the world leads you to believe. It's actually full of possibilities, and the only reason we're led to believe that way is because of the message that society continues to push out. When in reality, there's so many possibilities, and I see this with successful entrepreneurs all the time, where the people who do the best are the most optimistic. Imagine how optimistic you'd have to be in, for example, Jeff Bezos' case. So he's got this plan for Amazon Prime delivery. This is like maybe early 2000s. And he tells it to the board, and everyone's like, you're crazy, Jeff. And so they lose money that year, right? Next year, it happens again. He's still pushing it out because it's so expensive getting the logistics network set up. You got to hire, you got to get vans, equipment. It's crazy expensive. They lose money again. Everyone's like, Jeff, you're crazy. What are you doing? This repeats for 10 years. 10 years they're losing money on this.
10 years, the Prime lost money.
Then it turns to the tipping point, and now they're fucking indomitable right now. But imagine how positive, optimistic, and convicted in yourself you must be to be like, no, fuck you all. We're sticking by this. We're burning money for a decade, no problem.
Do you think he let negative thoughts creep into his mind?
Fuck no.
Could he have? He consistently did not for 10 years.
How crazy
Otherwise
is that?
he would have cancelled the whole thing.
He now reaps the benefit of it. This is what I was talking about, where Newtonian physics, action has consequence. And his action, the bet he was willing to take on his positivity, on his optimism of saying, no, it's going to work out 10 years. And now what? One of the richest guys in the world. Which is, we look at people like that and think, oh, it's just happenstance. He got lucky, whatever. But when you see stuff like that, 10 years of losing money, you think, nope, I completely get it. Well deserved, Jeff. I don't know if I had the stomach to go through something like that. That's why I'm not a billionaire.
But you certainly try.
Yeah.
You certainly try. And, you know, Jeff Bezos didn't make his millions overnight, you know. It's about reframing your way of thinking, because everything that you're taught to believe and think, the way that you're taught to think in today's society is completely narrow-minded.
Yep.
You go to work from 9 to 5 every day for 40 years, get a shitty pension. With now's living costs, you're not even going to be able to afford to do anything nice when you've retired, and you've worked your whole life for a system that provides shit healthcare, shit food, you know, the living shit public transport. The list
But
goes
luckily,
on.
you get to get really fucked up on the weekend, so that, you know, it makes the whole situation more bearable.
I mean, I hear this a lot, and I hear when I try to tell people about my plans for sobriety and, you know, the direction.
Did you
that
get
my
some
life's
backlash?
gone. It's not even backlash, it's that people say, oh, you know, the one I hear all the time is, you're young. And I was like, yes, I've been young for a while.
You're young and therefore what?
So you can go out and get pissed. And the question I ask to them is that, do you think you'd be happier with or without alcohol? And you can tell they're always a little bit stumped by them, because when most of them take a long think about the root of their unhappiness, it is probably because of alcohol, because it just throws you off completely. If it was created today, there's no way it would be legal at all.
It just numbs you to the
Kills
problems
brain cells.
in your life. Imagine if your life was so good that you would never want to not feel it fully. Like imagine the best possible existence, the relationships you have, the social circle, what your day-to-day looks like, the hobbies and things you do. Why would you ever want to numb yourself to even a second of that amazing life?
This is like Rat Park.
It's what?
Have you heard of Rat Park?
No.
So there was an experiment involving rats a long, long time ago. They locked one rat in a cage. There was 2 bottles. One had water laced with heroin. And when it was by itself, isolated, the rat consecutively drank from the heroin-infused water until it died. Every time, when it was by itself in this cage with nothing to do. And the psychiatrist came in, and he was like, hang on, this isn't fair. We've got a rat by itself in a cage.
The rat was like, hang on, what's going here, rat?
Yeah, with the British teeth. No, and then they introduced
a buddy to get fucked up with.
loads of rats all together. This nice community. They had like balls to play with. They had like wheels. They had like really nice cheese.
The nuclear family rat version.
They didn't touch the heroin water.
No way. That's
All
crazy,
of them
right?
chose to drink from the just pure H2O.
Is that not
maybe.
revealing about Britain's obsession with liquor? Right? It's just so symptomatic of the deeper issues that people are avoiding.
If you take that example of biology, which biology has done pretty well to get where it's got to.
I mean, we're both specimens, so
Got that.
no way, man.
No, but like biology is amazing. Yeah, how often can you argue with biology?
Literally 0 times,
Exactly.
unless you're a moron.
Unless you're a they them. Sorry, love you they them.
We have a big non-binary audience, so
Yeah, that's the bulk of our fans. Binary.
but yeah, biology, man. What's funny is you'll see how biology still drives the train for most people's decision making, even though they're not really aware of it. Whether it's protecting them day to day from unnecessary, or I would say like even inconsequential risks, like trying something new. It's like this fear of wanting to step out of line. It's sure it's biology there, but I think part of it is society exacerbates that. Where once you get so comfortable, even taking tiny amounts of risk feel monumental.
I think risk is just whatever you're trying to do. Every risk I've taken has been hard, but it's been damn worth it.
Has there ever been a risk that you took and you were like, I'm not sure about this?
Okay, let's just rewind a second, because obviously there's risk that I've taken, like sniffing a gram of gear. Probably was not worth the risk.
Okay.
But I'm talking about risks that push yourself out of your comfort zone.
Man, that line of coke sounds like it's going to push you out of your comfort zone.
To be fair, my day, man.
I want you to clearly distinguish for me the good risks and the bad risks. What is the criteria I'm using?
A good risk is one that doesn't put yourself in immediate physical danger.
What about running a race that you're not prepped for?
You'd probably learn from it. It depends how.
I would apply the same analogy to the Coke.
So you would say,
You'd learn from it.
well, or die.
I guess you're less likely to die from the race.
That's it.
Is that your criteria? You can't like.
As long as you don't die from it, like you're back. Like that was shit, bro.
So hold up. Now let's say I want to try rob a car. I want to do like full Grand Theft Auto. I'll take a risk. Very low risk of death here.
The risks you should be taking should be measured to some degree. You've got to analyse what's the worst that could possibly happen with the risk. I think that's a nice way of seeing it. So if you quit your job and decide that you want to try and work on something that means a lot to you for 6 months, if you've got no family and you've got nowhere to stay, then you look at your savings and you're like, this is how long I've got. Worst case scenario, I'll get another job. That's the worst thing that can happen, is you get another job, right? But now
or you don't get another job. What if you stay unemployed?
then you're on benefits.
And that's not a bad time either.
No. Well, in today's society, anyone can
I've
claim
heard
benefits.
I've heard you can make some good money on the door.
There's people that I work in finance.
Are you going to break GDPR right now?
Well, I'm not naming names, am I? So
Okay.
I don't know. It's probably on the cusp. On the cusp.
Fucking vocabulary's on fire.
It's probably on the cusp of it. But there's people that make £3,000 in benefits, if not even more. I think there was a 5k after tax on benefits and PIP and disability allowance.
Are you for that?
There's a place for benefits, but they're being abused by immigrants.
So the people applying for the financing, they're not British? The people who
A
are...
lot of them aren't.
They're not British, yeah?
It's about 50-50.
Okay.
But the UK population isn't 50-50.
What is it?
It's not far off, actually.
Like, how much of the British population is, like, white British?
Not like where this is going.
We're doing so well on...
Nearly an 8-episode streak without bringing race into it. Damn.
That was unprompted. You just shut on the immigrants for no reason.
No, it's true, man. Like the how easy. I'm not even going down this rabbit hole again. I'm tired of being called a fly tipping packy online.
Anyway, we'll bring it back. The point is, there's a safety net for everyone. So especially immigrants. If you want to quit your job, there's a very comfortable safety net for you guys.
I went to Africa and we met these Belgians, and they were going through. The immigrants come through Belgium. And they're like, fuck, why am I stuck in Belgium? Like, they get stopped at the borders of Belgium. It's like, where do they want to go? They all want to come to the Holy Land, which is the UK.
The Holy Land of Benefits.
The Holy Land of Benefits.
The UK is...
which is, it's not going to be the case for much longer.
Whoever's responsible for the marketing there really needs to go back to the drawing board here. Because I see countries doing their tourist marketing, like come to Sri Lanka or come to Nepal or something, we've got beautiful mountains. I wonder what the equivalent of that looks like in Africa. It's like, come to the UK.
I thought you were going to, come to the UK, you can get 3k after tax, you see.
Because if I was an astute African businessman, I would think, hey, there's some money to be made here. Why don't I smuggle my African brothers to the UK for a small fee?
I don't blame them. I blame the system. It's like, how can you have that many inefficiencies? It's driven the country into the ground. We've got immigrants staying in 5-star hotels in the UK. And we've got people on the streets of Britain who are white British people.
Good, white-blooded, red-blooded.
Good Aryan, 6-foot Aryan master race people sat on the street.
I can't believe you're doubling down on the white supremacism and on a pod with 2 brown guys.
Yeah.
That's not something you're seeing out there.
Yeah. 2 immigrants anti-immigration. Anyway, let's move on from the immigration. I got a little bit.
Back to the risks. That's what we're really trying to get to the bottom of. What is the real risk, right? So most of the risks people are afraid of taking are driven by an unrealistic idea of what the consequences might be. Another textbook example is of getting out of relationships that you're unhappy with. That's a big one.
Oh, that's a tough one though as well.
Because the fear there is of being alone. And I think that's something a lot of people struggle with.
I think that goes against our biology. Sorry to cut you off. It's literally...
Fine, I'm used to it, especially by the immigrant.
No. Well, you throw me off there. Relationships.
Come on, Matthew, bring it back to me.
Braveheart.
Let go of the immigrants, goddamn.
Hey.
But I was saying, why it's so tough to leave non-optimal relationships.
Yeah, so it goes against, we're not designed to be alone. Human beings are social creatures. We're not like a slug. I don't know if slugs have friends, but I feel like a slug would be pretty happy. You never see like groups of slugs.
It's true.
Like people need other people.
What a revelation today, guys.
You need other people to be happy. We're not designed to be...
Where do you cross the line from neediness to like healthy relationships?
Independence. So I guess that's kind of answering a question with a question. But, oh God, whoa, right, reset.
Listen, immigrants are not the problem.
With regards to neediness, I don't think anyone's truly needy in a relationship if they're secure in themselves and they're independent, they've got their own hobbies. If you're really bored, then that's a prime quality of somebody that's going to be needy in a relationship. If you've got no hobbies, you've got no friends. What do you think?
About
what's the line of neediness in a relationship? Because I've struggled with this. So I'm not a big messenger. I hate the idea of having somebody in your pocket that you have to think about all the time and that you should, God forbid, forget to reply.
That's kind of one of the prerequisites of a relationship, don't you think? Of like an open communication channel.
Yeah, but how much?
Well, that's all individual, right? Like whatever you guys works for you guys.
So if one person needs a lot more communication than the other person.
Well, this is where compromise comes in, right?
Yeah, that's long. I'm not for that. That's it.
You heard it here first, guys. Matthew does not compromise, so
No, I'm not.
don't expect to be messaged back. We can wrap it up there.
What time are we on?
Half an hour.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in again.
Next week.